In today's video, this is what I got up to. I finally painted the car. Now, you'll see in the start of this video, I was a bit confused on where to go next before I decided let's hammer down and get the car painted. So it's a little over the place at the start while I'm trying to think of what to do, but it's been hard work and I finally got it done. Now this is only 2 hours after painting, so the longer it sits and bakes, the better it's getting. So it's getting better with time. So just be wary that throughout this video, the finished car is only 2 hours old and the paint is still molding to the car. So it's getting better with time. So watch this and I hope you enjoy. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but what I do know is the whole car has to be stripped back down again. So bumper off, lights out, trims off, boot off again, probably front guards and front bumper, or front bumper definitely that front guard, and you may as well take the other front guard. It's all got to be painted then. So while it's stripped back to a shell, then do I paint the front scuttle, roof, rear quarters in the back of the car? Do I get the shell in paint? I don't know. I don't really know where I'm meant to go after this. I know there's a lot of painting I have to do, but what do I tackle next? Do I just flip the bonnet over and paint the other side of that? Do I paint the hood scoop, which I've only undercoated the underneath? Again, yeah, I don't know where to go yet. I need to have a good think about it. Side skirts need to be painted too. While I'm on a high from this paint job, do I paint the shell while I'm on a high and see how that goes? Do I hang the doors? See what they look like. These filthy doors. Again, they need to be repainted in 2-pack. The black on top of the door frames need to be redone because I did that in gloss, so that needs to be redone in satin. Now, granted, the doors, the boot lid and that front guard, because I was so crap at painting them, the clear coat is not that thick because I didn't know what I was doing. So it shouldn't be too much of a sand, and it's a prime paint. It's ready to go. But oh my goodness, just standing here looking at that paint. Oh, let's paint the shell. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I need to really concentrate. Maybe I'll strip the back of the car down and maybe I'll start with priming the car. And then, well, it's got to be sanded back, so let's see how that goes. There's even a bit of blue on the roof from all the overspray in between where I had the masking. It's trying to be blue. It wants to be a blue car. It wants to be a blue car. Well, you're going to be a blue car. Just be patient. All right, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do and I'll get back to you with some sort of plan. I thought it's about time for an update. Still unsure on what I'm going to do, but the car is pretty much stripped back again. Bumpers off, boots off, trims off, front guards off, front bumpers off, grills out. Tail lights, tail panels off. Remember that I have to trim the tailpipe. About 45mm has to come off. So that needs to be cut before paint. But we're pretty much back down to a bare shell with a motor in it again. Guards are off. Everything's stacked on top of the charger because that's just the storage space at the moment. But as I get things painted, we'll get things back on the car. Still don't know what to do. Originally I was going to I'll prime the shell, but then realised I have to get the guards off because I need to get paint in there. So guards had to come off eventually anyway, so why not now? Now I'm thinking I've got the guards off. Do I paint the guards and the top side of the bonnet, and then potentially after I prime maybe that half of part of the car, the front of the car can go on for good, but would have to paint the bumper as well. It's a big job undertaking and I don't know which way to go yet, but I'm just plodding along, doing things slowly. I'll update you the next time I've done something of worthiness. Oh, I did mask up the rear window, but yeah, and one tail light. So some masking has been done. Oh, not to mention, I've done a little bit of filler work there. There was a divot there, and there was a little bit of markings there that need just a little bit of filler in there. Because if you go back a long way, this pillar here had a big rust hole, and I never quite finished just the little pieces after it, so that's done now. So when it gets primed, it's good to go. The good thing about priming it is there's probably only maybe 5% bodywork that has to be done. I've done it all while I was working. If you've seen the roof video, that was all done when I did the roof. Like, it had dints everywhere, but it's now nice and flat. All it needs to be done is cleaned, primed, sanded for the final time, and that'll be good to go. It does have 60 grit scratches in it from sanding, but that will be hidden in the high fill. Don't know if you can see there is some sanding marks. Don't know if the camera will pick them up, but they are there. But it's prime it, guide coat, sand it, ready to go. Goodness, masking takes forever. Front window, back window, boot, masked up. Started masking up that front half of the car. Need to do the other side, and then both door frames where we've already painted, so we don't want paint on there. Have run a masking line up the top there, but masking takes forever. I'm getting there, so both sides to go, and then we can primer the shell. It's been a few days, but I finally got the car masked up. I've had a few dramas. It's actually warm today and tomorrow. The tape won't hold up there, so I've done something different there. Same on the other side. Around that arch there and along there, it won't stick, but I think I've got it to stick now. If it gets through tomorrow and the hot day, it should be right. So I've got both sides masked up. I've got the wheels masked up. I've got masking down underneath the car. The exhaust pipe has trimmed back. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that previously. The tank is masked up. Masked up. Final picture cap, so we can get that ready to be done at the same time. This side's masked up. The white tape is that's virtually drooping. Another sheet on there because it's drooping again. It's pretty much ready to clean and prime. And as I said, it's hot today, it's hotter tomorrow, so that's not good painting weather. hopefully Thursday I'll get some priming done. It's only meant to be 25, but we'll see how that goes. But getting exciting. It's a lot of hard work taping up this, I'll tell you that. But hopefully I'll see you next with the priming gun. And that's the first 2.5 coats of primer done. Now the primer has shown up some imperfections that I didn't realise were there, like right there. There's a bit of like old paint or something. And there's a little bit of that on the roof along that back edge. The roof was a lot harder than what I expected. It's fairly stripy, if that's what you call it. First few passes I was too close to the roof, then worked out the further away I was, the better the fan was, and a lot of that's come out now, so still got to sand and then probably reprime anyway, so that is not too big of an issue. Around the front windows come up nice. The primer laid really, really well. I'm very happy with it. It's touch dry already, and it's actually pretty darn smooth. So hopefully that means very little sanding to get it smooth. It was a bit difficult doing the back of the car because the wall's right there and I've got the car pushed up to the door. And I can't have it open because the dog comes in. I don't want him coming in and putting dog fur in the paint. So we'll get around that. This quarter's come up nice too. There's a few wavy lines in there, which aren't picking up on camera, but they're there. But they're under the bumper, so it doesn't really matter too much. There's a little mark there on the quarter there, which needs to be sanded out. And there's a repair there I've got to fix up, because when I was cleaning down yesterday, some of the filler had already started to lift it up, so I had to pick it off, refill it before paint. And just seeing, I've got a little dent there too, so that needs to be done. Coming down here to the front again, looks nice. There's a little bit of pitting there I still have to fix. Just a bit of spot filler on that will be laughing. All in all, stoked with how it went. Now I'm going to let this set. The next 3 days is going to be insanely hot. So this will bake nicely. And then after that, I'll get into the sanding. Well, it's a couple of days later. I'm in the shed. It's blistering hot. And the new thermometer's saying about 48 degrees. So it's lovely and toasty in here. I've done a few patches on the roof. As you'd all know, previously it had some filler work on there. Just ironing out the pinholes and getting them before we start the sanding process. Also the bit of pitting in the window channel, getting on top of that. And just a little bit of on a bit of the back pillars. But yeah, there's some nice pinholes in there that you can't really see until you get some primer on them, but I think it's hard, but it's hot. I don't really want to be sanding. I'm going to hit some guide coat on this rear quarter and just do a little bit of sanding and see how it sands up. Now I expect this to be relatively flat and shouldn't need too much work, but I'll sand and see how it goes. Whew. That's a workout in this heat. Now I only did up to that body line there and in between that line there, and it's pretty darn good. Little low spot there and a couple of little lows there, but only tiny. Little one there as well. Did have one mishap where the sander slipped and went sideways and put a scratch in it. So I'll fix that up as well. That should almost sand out anyway. I did rub through the primer there, so there's a little high spot there. But all in all, that went really well and really good progress. I need a break. By the way, that's sanded back with 240. Next update, that quarter is almost fully rubbed down. I've just got to do in that indentation there, but that's got to be done by hand. I managed to fix that piece there, so that was just sanding, and that was just some of the old original paint left. I've also just been going around where I spot filled some of the pinholes and stuff, so I've been sanding those back, just little areas like that. A bit on that pillar there and a bit in the front channel, but again, it's really hot in here again. I've reached the point where I need a break, so the sanding is going well. This quarter has turned out exceptionally well. Bit of hand sanding in above that wheel arch there, and that quarter is schmicko. However, there is a couple of tiny little high spots down low, but that's under the bumper, no big deal. So far, going very well. Hopefully it continues and I don't have much body work to do. I do have to put a little bit more filler on there. There's a low spot there, so that needs to be done. But if it's just little bits like that as I'm sanding, I find low spots, I'll touch them up, sand them out. We're laughing. See you soon. Just thought I'd give you an update. I've been working on the roof, and oh my goodness, it's hard work. Started off sanding with 240, and it just hasn't got quite enough power, so I switched to 180 right at the end. Because as I thought, you know, I'd done a lot of work on this roof previously, and it happened to have a lot of low spots. But I've sanded most of them out. There's just a few left, like that one, and a little bit there in the center that I need to put a little bit of filler in. There's one there, like they're just not going to sand out. You know, I've gone back to the edge in a couple of spots, so I've sanded off quite a bit. But it is feeling really good and really nice. I just need to patch up those couple little areas, then I can get started on the other side. I've gone just over halfway, so the other side shouldn't be as bad. But getting there, I am getting there. Finally, the roof is rubbed down to something that I'm pretty happy with. Oh, I didn't sand that. I've got to sand that one. But there is quite a few spot repairs on there. It's not 100% perfect, but it's as close as I'm going to get it with my skill set. It's actually pretty good compared to, you know, what it was originally. I've rubbed back this quarter. That quarter's good. I've also done in here. Now that's painful because that has a slight dip in there and very hard to sand. All I need to sand back now is pretty much the back of the car And then just in little gaps, like in here, inside that window channel, and the bottom lip down there, and the boot channel, and the window channel, and the hinges. So actually there's quite a fair bit to go. I've been just doing little repairs as I go along when I find them. But progress is progress. The only other issue is sanding makes a lot of mess, and it's hard trying to keep somewhat clean, so when we come to the colour, there's not too much crap around in the air. So I'm doing a lot of vacuuming, a lot of cleaning, but I'm getting there. But the two rear quarters are really good. The roof's not bad now. It doesn't really matter what inside the window channels look like, or inside the boot channel. You're going to have rubber on there, the boot will be on, you never see that. But we'll make it as nice as I can. Most of that's hidden, but we'll make it as nice as we can. Still finding little bits to repair as I'm going along. I'll fix bits up as I see them. But time to get back to sanding. Well, I think I've finally got the first stage of rubbing back done. The roof is full of repairs. There's little repairs here and there around C-pillars. The back actually needed a fair bit of repairs in there, so they're done. The back's rubbed back. The only thing I haven't rubbed back in is in the rubber channels, but I'll do that on the final run. So I've got a couple more repairs there, one in there. I've got the front rubbed back. Again, not in the window channels, I'll do that on the final one. It is rubbed back with 280. So it's going to be a reprime, and then I'll rub it back to 400, and then we can do the top coat. Now I'm not going to reprime everything. It doesn't really need a reprime here. The roof needs to be reprimed, and the C-pillars, I think the quarters aren't too bad. I could leave the quarters. I'll reprime in between the boot channel again, maybe around that rear window. I need a little bit there where I've got bare metal showing. But other than that, the rear quarters are well, or look nice. It's mainly the roof and the back of the car that need a reprime. And then I can start rubbing back 400. This pillar probably needs a reprime because there's a fair bit of filler there, but all good. So I need to clean it all down and reprime it. So that's what I'm going to do. Well, finally the weather's cooled down and I've been able to prime again. So the car now has another 2 coats of high fill on, and it's come out really well again. I did mention before that I was only going to do the roof, not the quarters. I ended up doing the whole lot. Got the primer out, why not? So the whole thing has been re-primed again, except for in the window channels, boot channels. Didn't worry about that. The back is redone. Got 2 thick coats on the roof, and that's looking rather nice. So we'll wait for that to set. But as well as getting 2 coats on here, I got 2 coats on the hood scoop. Plus I got the fuel flap out and got 2 coats on that after sanding that back for quite a while. So that's coated inside and out and looking pretty spiffy if you ask me. Now I'll let this harden up. It's got plenty of hardener in it. And we'll start sanding again. And then hopefully that's the end of the sanding, and then I can do the top coat, which is the real exciting bit, which I can't wait for. I can't wait to do that. Still a little bit scared about the roof. quarters in the back of the car, I reckon will be all right. The roof, I don't want it to be stripy. I really don't want it to be stripy. But we'll get it right. All right, we'll let this harden. I'll do some sanding and I'll get back to you all. While I've been busy, the second coat of primer is now rubbed back and it's very close to colour. Still a few little things to do. Like that's pretty close, but I've been working on the back end and I want to get the blackouts done. So the whole car's rubbed back to 400. I've been masking up to get this taillight section done because I just want to get that done. Now, I've seen different ways to do this. I've seen where there's just a line going there and then a line across the top. I do not want to do that. I think it looks crappy, even though you'll never see that when the taillights and the garnish is on the back. Blah, blah, blah. However, I want to paint the whole way across black. Now, from what I've seen pictures wise, is you have your trim go here and the blackouts go to the start of your holes. So that's how I've masked it up. So I've got straight lines each side in that section, and then I'll just paint the whole section there and the rest of it will be blue. So what I can see is when your tail lights are in and you've got your bumper, there's a gap, a slight gap between, and that is blue. So that would be this section along here. So I've got masked to the top of that lip there. That's how I'm doing it. Whether it's right or wrong, who gives a Scheisenhausen? That's how I'm doing it. So tomorrow, I'm going to shoot that black, rub back, just spots that I've missed. Need to rub back the petrol cap because I forgot about it. But that's there ready to go. And then a bloody good clean in here. And hopefully in the coming days, I can paint some blue paint. Just the roof again, a couple of little touch-up spots on there, but she'll be right. It's getting exciting. I can't wait to get this in paint. I cannot wait. A month of sanding has not been fun, but we're towards the end of that now, and within a week or so, this should be in colour. See you when I do the black tomorrow. Well, finally I got that done. Now, did I have dramas? For whatever reason, I just could not get the paint flow out of the gun to what I wanted. I just couldn't get it wet enough. It was only spraying out little bits. Unless I turned the fan to almost a dead straight line. And I've been dicking around with that for ages because all I wanted to do was put a wet coat on and I just couldn't. Then it hit me. Under the cup, there's like a little filter. So I drained the cup, took that filter out, bang, got a wet coat straight away. So that's what it was. And it's now done. Not exactly how I wanted it to go, but it'll be right. It is touch dry right now. It feels relatively smooth, so that's the main thing. I didn't want it to come out orange peely. Seems to have come out relatively flat, so I'm happy with that. I'll let that harden up while I go and have some lunch, and I'll come and unmask it after that to see what the end result looks like. Hopefully, it's a fingers crossed. Well, here we are, unmasked, and considering all the dramas I had, I'm pretty happy. It's turned out pretty darn good. It's smooth to the touch like glass, what I wanted. I've got no bleeding through the tape. It looks fantastic. So, as mentioned previously, I've masked to the edge of those holes, and then I've gone all the way around the tail panel. And for satin black, it's still got a nice sheen on it. And then we come around to this side, same again, looking fantastic. What's up next? Well, I've got to clean down the car and check to see if there's any spots that I've missed sanding, and then I can shoot some colour. But at least now I know if I'm having paint flow issues, check that filter out under the cup. Alrighty, let's start some cleaning. But before we do that, I've got to sand the petrol cap. Sand the petrol cap, clean up. Let's get some blue on this baby, eh? Let's do it. It's go time. Car has been cleaned down twice. Floors are vacuumed. All the dust blown off last night. The black from yesterday is masked up. So all we have to do is paint. It's getting warm, so I need to get onto it. I've got 2 cups of paint mixed up, hoping that's enough. And we'll see how we go. So I'm going to start with the fuel cap, see the flow on the gun. Maybe do something that's going to be hidden first, maybe under the bumper. See what the flow of the gun's like. And then we'll get to the bits that you're going to see, the roof and the quarters, that kind of stuff. Let's go. Well guys, here it is. 4 coats later, it's painted. Now, am I happy with it? Yes, for me, I'm happy with it. There are a few issues. I would have liked it to lay down a bit nicer and flat, but it's still pretty good. It does need a buff. It has got shine off the gun. But I will say my bodywork is bloody fantastic. It looks magnificent. Now, you can see shine off the gun. As I said, it's not perfect. It will need a buff. I've got a couple of runs, which I'm not happy with, but I did manage to get a lot of it out with following coats. Like all the runs came on the first coat. There is one run here on the A-pillar, but that's mainly covered with window rubber, and there's a trim that goes up there, so you'll hardly see that. The one that's very concerning to me is on the rear quarter, just beside the petrol cap. Right there. Now that was huge, but more coats on it, it did start to blend out, so it will need a bit of work. but that should be fixed up when the buffing happens. The roof, all that work I put into the roof has paid off. It looks great. Just need it to dry a bit and then we'll get a better look at what it looks like. This front window channel's come out nice too. Now, if you remember, going back probably 2 years, this was cactus. There was rust everywhere. Now, it looks spot on. There is a bit of crap in the paint, as per usual. A little bit of dust here and there. But again, with a buff, a cut and buff, it will come out. There is another run there, but there's trim that goes on there. There's that opera window piece that goes there, and then there's a trim that goes along there. Back of the car has turned out nice as well. So just look at the shine off the gun. Again, is it as flat as I would like? No, but it looks pretty darn good. Just need it to harden up and then I'll unmask it. And happy freaking days. I did get the fuel cap done as well. That's over here. That's turned out like the rest of the car, which will match it. So yes, I'm gonna go have some lunch, let it sit for a couple of hours to harden up, and then I'll come back and we'll unmask it and I'll show you the finished product. Car is unmasked now, and the quarters have actually come out better as they've dried, so still need a buff, but pretty darn good. The roof, probably needs a light sand. There's some dry spots where the overspray went, but that can be fixed. But it's blended in well with the door jambs that I painted recently. It's actually got quite a bloody good shine on it from the gun. Just look at the reflection in this quarter. That's the back of the vehicle. Looking good as I'm getting caught up in cords. Now there's a few touch-ups I need to do, like because I had the boot masked up, you know, bottom of the hinges need to be painted, a little bit inside the tail lights just blacked out, that kind of stuff. Not much, just a little bit, but all in all it's turned out pretty good for an amateur like me. Now I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 with my skills, you know, compared to a 10 out of 10 paint job. And as I keep saying, a buff is going to do it bloody wonders. But look how straight everything is, especially on that roof. The amount of bloody divots in that thing was insane, and it's come out fantastic. Even the front window channel looks good, you know, the scuttle. There is one fisheye. I don't know how that came in, but I've got one on this driver's side quarter. Right there. How did that come? I've got no idea, but it's there. We'll work out something with that. That run, we'll work out something with that. But all in all, it's freaking a lot of hard work went into this. A lot of hard work. I can't believe how much work goes into painting. I understand now why my brother's so burnt out, because he does this every day, all day, every day. And you know, one afternoon of this it's wrecked me. That about wraps it up for this video. Look at that. Look at that shine. Anyway, distractions. This has been a monumental effort to get this ready for paint. I've worked so hard, and ever since I decided to pull the trigger on painting this, we finally had summer, and I've had temperatures are upwards of 60 degrees in this shed while I've been sanding, and it hasn't been fun, but I got there in the end, and I'm glad that that's over. Now I can start getting onto other things. Yes, I still need to paint a few things, but they're not so urgent. I can start putting the interior back in the car, so I can do roof lining, carpets, seats. Those things can all go back in. So that's something to look forward to other than sanding. I've had enough sanding. Now the plan going forward will be, once everything is painted, I'll get my brother to come up and buff it for me, and that should get it to probably a 9.5 out of 10, I reckon. That's what he does best. So we'll leave that to him. I don't want to buff it because, you know, I'll burn through somewhere and wreck it, and I don't want to do that. But the way it sits now, this could be driven down the road. It's going to look fantastic. But just to get that little bit extra, it just needs that little bit of finessing. So I hope you all enjoyed this. And if you could give a like and subscribe, that would be awesome. But thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.